Good day. This lecture is brought to you on the platform of English Section Choir, First Baptist Church, Okelerin, Ogbomoso. I'll be your tutor for this module. This is Module 2, Lecture 3. My name is Oladipo Stephen. Welcome to Music Theory class. In the last module that we did, in the previous module, you were introduced to why you need to study music. Secondly, the functions of bar lines, measures, and ledger lines, space notes and lines notes, music alphabet, and note names. You were introduced to how you can identify or you get yourself familiar with the music piece and different types of clef. But in this module, you will be introduced to some basic things that will also help your music knowledge. You'll be introduced to music terms, tempos, dynamics, articulations. Music terms. Let's first of all talk about music terms. Music can be loud or soft. It can be short or long, or anywhere in between. A musical phrase can be played sweetly or crassly. It can be played smoothly or choppily. And music can be played at many different speeds, from sleepily slow to furiously fast. The performer needs to know the information, and in most music, the information is written in Italian language. So it is very important for us to get ourselves familiar with all these musical terms, so that when we come across a musical piece, we'll be able to understand what exactly the writer of the song or the composer of the song want us to fill in the express in the music piece. And you will discover that most of all these music piece or musical terms, they have Italian terms in them. But why? Way back then, beginning in the late 1500s, I was not born then. There was a lot of music making going on in Italy, and at the time, some bright souls thought to write this detailed instruction on the music. And because the composers were Italian, the instructions were written in Italian. Vast majority of all these terms are Italian, although there are still some terms that are from French, that is from France, and from Germany, the German. But most of these terms are written in Italian language. But there are three aspects where musical terms are concerned that we are going to be studying in this module. The first one is tempos. The second one is dynamics, and the third one is articulations. What does tempo mean? Tempo means how fast to go. Dynamics talks about how low, loud, or soft to play, while articulations show how short or long a note is. There are also general terms and terms specially for repeats. Let's talk about tempos. Musically, tempo can be defined as the speed at which a musical piece is played or sung. For instrumentalists, we talk about playing of a musical instrument. So the speed at which these musical pieces are played is called tempo. Tempo is an Italian word. It comes from the Latin word, which is tempus, Tempus, and it means time. Some people say tempi, which is the plural form of tempo. Now, there are different examples of tempo, and we are going to be considering some of them. We can't consider all, but we are going to be considering a few of them that are very popular and that you can easily come across as you do your music. One is Lago. Lago has beats between 40 to 60. Another one is a Laghetto, which has a beat value of 60 to 66. Adagio has 66 to 76. Andante has 76 to 108, and so on and so forth. So with all these terms, you will be able to know the speed of a particular music piece. Let's talk about some other tempo related terms. The other terms that are used for tempo, which are accelerando. As you can see, the abbreviation of accelerando, ACCEL, accelerando. We have the meaning is you speed up gradually. This is the short form of accelerando. As you can see, the mouse is pointing to it, and it means speed up gradually. Another one is allargando, which is ALLARG dot. It means you slow down and grow louder. All these tempo related terms help to put sweet flavor to a song, to a musical piece. We also have retardando, which means slow down gradually. Relatando. Many times when you see relatando, they write it as RAL, which means you slow down gradually. Let's move forward. Let's progress. What about dynamics? Dynamics is another word for how loud or soft to play or sing. The base word to remember for dynamics are the piano, which means quiet, and forte, which means loud. I do not know whether I got the pronunciation very well, but as you can see, I'm a Nigerian. So piano is a quiet, it means quiet, forte means loud. So whenever you see P or F, it denotes P means quiet and F means word. Let's take for example, if we have PP, which means pianissimo, the meaning is very quiet. If you have piano, it means quiet. If you have mezzo piano, which is MP, it means medium quiet. If you have forte representing F, it means loud. Represented by F letter, it means loud. If you have mezzo forte, which is MF, it means medium loud. Other tempo related terms are what we call crescendo and decrescendo. If you look underneath in this presentation, you will discover that there's a sign for crescendo and there's another sign for decrescendo. Crescendo means you are growing gradually. You grow gradually louder. So if you see this sign on in the music page, it means that starting from this edge, this pointed portion of the sign, it means you begin to grow louder. And the crescendo is the opposite of crescendo. It means that you grow softer as you start from this end of the sign, this beginning point of the sign. And how will you be able to know this? Let me just give you an easy way to know it, an easy way to remember it. Is like the amount of sorry I'm sorry, you just have to bear me with my diagram. Can you see? This is the eyes, this is the nose, and this is the mouth. It means you are singing out. It's growing gradually. growing louder gradually. If you want to sing loud, you open your mouth. If you want to sing loud, you have to open your mouth. So that is the meaning. You grow loud. So with that, you should be able to remember. You should be able to remember what crescendo and decrescendo means. Let's move forward. Another aspect we are going to talk about today is articulation. What does articulation mean? Articulation is a fancy way to say a note length, because articulation deals with the length of a note. Depending on your instrument, for example, there are many ways to change the length of a note. For example, with wind instrument, the breath and the tongue are used to control the length of the player's note. For bowed instrument like violin or viola or cello or double bass, the bow is used to create that articulation. For piano, for example, the instrument, the articulation is controlled by how long the keys are being held. Articulations are indicated with a symbol which appear either above or below the note's head. For example, articulation can be shown by simply writing out the whole word under the notes to be affected. You are going to see an example of articulation, their symbol first, then I will show you the example. These are their abbreviations called accent. The first one is accent, which means any note you see these two signs, either this first sign or the second sign, what it means is that you should emphasize on that particular note. Correspondingly, you emphasize on the particular letter or particular word on which these signs are attached or placed on or under. It could be placed on top of such term or under. Another one is legato. Legato means you play the note, play or sing the note full value. That is what legatos mean. Whereby staccato means short. It is not as long as legato. Like you have organists, generally they play legatoli, while pianists play staccatoli. That's one of the difference between an organist and a pianist. Let's see an example of what we are talking about. If you see the example, can you see the symbol? You should be able to see the symbol. This symbol shows that you should express this note staccatoli. It means that you are expected to express this note with staccato. It means you are going to do them short. For example, this should be your B. So when you are playing it, it should be so. So it's not like a legato where you are going to express the full value of so like it's unlike legato that you are going to express the full value, as you can see. Then let's talk about the accent. It means that you have to, as you can see the symbol, the mouse is pointing to it. It means that this particular note, you have to give it emphasis. You have to emphasize on this particular note. And as you can see, this is an example where the accent was attached on the top, while this one it was attached underneath. It means that you have to express these particular notes more than others. You place emphasis, and sometimes you can have two articulation signs attached to a particular note. Like this, you have the accent and the legato. It means that you are going to express the full value of this particular note and emphasize it at the same time. Let's go ahead and talk about other articulation signs that are very important and we come across every day as we do music. There are two other signs. The first one is the ties and the slows. I know in the last module you were introduced to what a ties and the slow means, but let's talk more about them. Two more types of articulation seen quite frequently are ties and slows. You see, a tie is a curved line connecting two or more notes to the same pitch. For example, the tie is just like tying one piece of a string to another to give a long piece of string. Tying two notes, that's what it means. Tying two notes of the same pitch to make a longer note. There's no break between these tied notes, and tied notes often used to join notes over bar line, unlike a slur, because when you are talking about a slur, it is a curved line connecting two or more notes of different pitches. That is the difference. While a tie is connecting two or more notes of the same pitch, you talk about um, connecting two notes of different pitches. That is when you talk about the slur. That's the difference. But let's see some. Let's see an example of a tie. Can you see if you will discover that you will discover that uh, the these notes are of the same pitch. This first note and the second note are of the same pitch. Therefore, they are being connected. Now, if you are going to sing or play this note, it means that instead of it having a single note, a single beat value, it's going to be two beat value. You are going to express with two beat value, since this sign is tying the two notes together. Another examples here, they are of the same pitch and they are being tied together. But let's look at a slur. As we said, notes of different pitches with the cover line over or under them are articulated as smoothly as possible. For wind players, it means no tonguing. For piano player, it means you hold the keys down for each note down as long as possible. For guitar player, it means hammer or pull-ups. I know the guitar players will know what I'm talking about. And for bowed instrument, the notes happen in the same bow stroke. And whatever your instrument, the idea is to make the slur as smooth as possible. Let's see an example of a slur. This is an example. As you can see, this note that the pointer, the mouse is pointing to, and this note, they are of different pitches. The pitch of this note is different from the pitch of this note. The pitch of this note is different from the pitch of this note. But there's a sign connecting them. So because they are of different pitches, we call this slur. But if they are of the same, let's say for example, this note is on this space, it means that and this sign is attached to them, it means it's tie. But since they are of different pitches, sorry, it means that they are being slur. That's a slur. General music terms. Let's talk about some other general music terms. The terms we've been introduced to in the last few slides are often paired with other Italian words, giving you more specific direction. Some other terms that we can tag with other terms are all. Al, it means to the, con means with, fine, well, it has the same spelling with fine in English language, but fine, that's the pronunciation, it means the end. So when you're holding a music piece and you see the letter fine, it means that is the end of the musical piece. We have molto, which means very or much. Then we have poco, which means sometimes in a music piece they can write poco, which means they can even combine the other terms like poco roll. It means little and you reduce gradually. Other a tempo, which means you return to the original tempo of the song. Accelerando means from the word accelerate, it means you accelerate, and ritando, raw, which means you wind down. Let's talk about pitch and repeats. Almost all music has repetition. A single measure can be repeated, a small section or a large section. There are several ways to indicate this repeat in a piece of music. sometimes a composer wants to repeat a particular section of a song, or he wants to repeat a large section or a small section of a song. There are terms that we can use to tell the reader of the music that according to the composer of this music, we want you to repeat a particular section. And let's see some examples. We have this sign which is used to indicate that we repeat a particular section of a music piece. Whenever you see this sign, it means that you are expected to repeat. Let's see an example. In this example, if there's a number with this sign, say a 2, then the previous two measures are to be repeated. Expected to repeat these two measures. Say, for example, you see these two above this sign, it means that you have to repeat these two. So most of the time, I often see this sign in a guitar music piece. You will often come across them. It means that you have to repeat these two. Let's talk about section repeat. The section repeat is shown with two set of dots at the beginning. The last slide is only talking about measure. In case of section, a section repeat is shown with two set of dots at the beginning and the end of the measure to be repeated. The second set of dots tell you to go back to the previous two dots. If there are no previous dots, then the repeat goes back to the beginning of the song. Let's see an example so that we can understand what we are talking about. For example, you can see where the arrow is pointing to. There are two dots, and at the end of this music piece, there are another two dots. What that means is that whenever the player gets here and ends here, he has to repeat. This is a repetition. It's a sign that you have to repeat this section, unlike the former sign that we saw where you repeat measures, but in this case you repeat the section of a particular song. Let's talk about repeating first and second endings. Sometimes a section is repeated but has a different ending the second time around. The first time through the next section, play to the repeat sign and return to the previous repeat sign or the begin, as in the next slide you are going to see it. The second time through, skip the first ending which begins under the brackets with the number 1 and play. What are we trying to explain here? Sometimes there is a special arrangement for a musical piece where you have to how you are going to repeat the first time you take a particular section will be different from when you take it the second time. You don't end it the way you ended the first section of the song. Look at this. In this case, it means that if you start this particular music piece and you start, for example, you start from this place and you end here when you saw this line, the put 1 from this place. This 3 is not meant for this line. This 1 is meant for this line, and this 2 is meant for this line. It means if you play it at the first time, you end here when you have 2 dots from this place. That is from this place. Now, if you play the second time, instead of you to come here where you have 1, you do not come here. You jump to 2. And end the song here. So that's a special that's another way of ending a song when you repeat that particular song. Let's talk about more complex repeats. The following terms and symbols show more complicated types of repeats. As you can see on the slide, we have some other repeat signs that are different from the one that we have been explaining before. The term da capo al fine, shortened as DC or fine, it means that you go back to the beginning and play to the fine, to play to the end. Remember, we said fine means the end of a music or the end of a piece. Del segno al fine DS are fine. Return to the sign. Whenever you see this particular sign, you play, you return to whenever you see this particular sign on the music piece and end and end. Then you see coda, that means a closing section of a piece of music. Let's go back. Let's talk about more terms. Like we have da capo ad coda. It means go back to the beginning and jump to the coda section as the coda sign. Da del segno al coda. It means return to the sign where you saw this sign, and when you see this sign and jump to the coda section at the coda sign. You may not be able to remember all these terms immediately, but as you go on with music, as you go on with your studies, and as you go on reading and studying, acquiring more knowledge where music is concerned, you will begin to get yourself familiar with all these terms. There's no way you can know them all at once, but as you go on, you will begin to know them gradually. This module we have been introduced to articulation, dynamics, and tempos, and some music terms. I want you to make sure you listen to the second lesson in this particular module so that you can learn some other things like beats, whole notes, half note, quarter note, and so on and so forth. Make sure you continue. God bless you. Thanks for listening.